In a mudroom closet, converting a closet into a mudroom near the front entry. South mudroom closet, converting from closet to mudroom at the front entry door. Not only is putty your buddy, caulk is your friend, glue is your friend. I'm going to glue this to the floor so there is no squeak. I don't want the client telling me the floor squeaks. So we are going to add insurance. Uh-oh, we just had a blowout. We call this a splooge. We just had a splooge. So we'll revert to another method to spread the glue. The no squeak system. The deck is done. We'll tack that on after I get approval. Right now we're putting in the top shelf. I have 1x2 cleats glued and nailed, studs marked. So we're nailing to the studs. I cut the platform, below the platform is 2x3, and I took the extra piece left over after I ripped it down to a 2x3 because, well, 2x3s are usually, I see them at the big box stores, they're ugly, they're twisted bananas. So I bought 2x4s and made my own 2x3 so I'd have straighter, better lumber. And I bought it at the mom and pop shop. I didn't buy it at the big box store because I think they have better lumber. So here we go. Here's that extra piece, so there's no waste. That's going on as the bench cleat. And I don't need any framing over here because I'm going to actually put a couple of uprights. She wants to box this in and have a couple of sections here. I'll use a 3/4 inch plywood to help support the seat. All right. So far, so good. We're moving along. But I tell you, I don't know why his cracks have lined. Bubba is on the level. All right, checking it. The seat is level. So if the kids spill their drinks, no, it won't be flowing off. It'll be staying on the seat. So there you go. Okay, using 3/4 inch plywood on the bench, and I just temporarily have those setting in there. I want the client to approve this before I permanently secure anything. So those are just kind of floating in there. But I do believe that that will support, no problem. Probably take a piece of a 1x2, like that shelving cleat up there, and cap all this off the front with some 1x2 to match up to this below down here. The skirt. First I look at the skirt. There you go, man. All right, so, and I'm gonna ask the client, do you want screen mold on here, 3/4 inch screen mold, or would you like a 1x2? Give them the option before I go gluing and nailing anything permanent. I always do that or you'll be taking things back apart, especially with the people that have the eye for detail. Screen mold, a much sleeker look, or we can put this 1x2 cap off the front of the shelves, which kind of matches this down here at the bottom. So just let me know, either look you like. You know, they're gonna be painted. So you just tell me when you get home, check it out. Gluing each cleat as I set them in place. All right, and then I just air nail them. There's my nail. Adding the lower shelves, so I have a small cleat underneath to support it. Bringing this in. All right. We'll stand this up. I'm not saying it's the best way, it's just the way I'm doing it. All right, and I will nail this from this side. Bam, bam, bam. And this is all gonna support my seat. The middle one will be one open box, 2 on each side. I'll show you this. Glue is your friend, putty is your buddy, and glue is your friend. I don't imagine there'll be much weight on these lower shelves, just shoes placed in here, although keep in mind, children will probably use that as a step ladder to get up there. Everything must be child-proof. So I did add a cleat right there on that side to make that a little stronger. And then I added cleat under that one, cleat under that one. But from in the center part here, that there. Maybe I should throw a little cleat in there just in case. An 8-year-old uses that for a ladder. Must gorilla-proof everything. All right, the shelves. I actually had to pull these shelves back out to get this top one back in. Had to make an adjustment on my cut. So this is what we have, though. I've got cleats on the walls. They're going to be somewhat hidden once you slide these in. All right. A little bit of a gap, but I'll caulk it. Caulk it. Putty is my buddy. Caulk, paint. Not super tight fit. But I'm not building no Woollets or piano. All right. Now we put on the final nosing here. They picked this over screen mold. And I gave them the choice, screen mold on the edge, 3/4 inch screen mold on the 3/4 inch plywood, or a 1x2, and they like the 1x2. All right, nailing down. Yes, I will nail down the shelves to keep them from moving. All right, we're almost done. We're down to the lap siding, which I'm a little confused. I watched a video because I've never installed lap siding before, and they got nickel gap, and they got tongue and groove. They got two different versions. My lumberyard, and they intermix the names and brands, are intermixed, I guess, across the spectrum. I think the guy said that in the video, because what he called tongue and groove, I've got this type. It's called Nickelback. Now Nickelback, no, that's a musical group. Nickel Gap. All right, Nickelback, baby, Nickelback. This is Nickel Gap. So I guess a nickel's supposed to fit in the joint. A little gap, leaves an ugly gap that people like for spiders and bugs to crawl in. I don't know what the idea is, but hey, this old dinosaur, I don't want no nickel back. I'm from the 70s. We didn't have nickelback. We had nickel bags. All right, man. I'm dating myself. Van Halen, David Lee Roth, but I'm installing Nickelback, baby. Nickelback. All right. Keep it going. Nailing up the Nickelback. The Nickelback. Nailing the tongue top side. Just checking the bottom. Try not to face nail it any more than I have to. I did have to nail it in face nail in a couple spots out here on the bigger 4-foot run. But anyways, there we go. We're going to come up. This might be a tricky spot I got to deal with here. Maybe to head. We'll see how this turns out. But this is what we got so far. All right, 1D, do it. You're right. The final touch is the shelf supports. Now, don't listen to what they tell you down the wise crack of lines. I went to the lumberyard and I talked to them, and they're like, hey man, most guys cut their own, and we can sell you a chunk of poplar and you can cut your own. And I'm like, okay. So I looked at the receipt when he was totaling up. The chunk of poplar was $25. I'm like, what? And I said, these are $10.99. I don't have to cut them. I don't have to router them. The customer likes them. She says they're perfect. They're going to be painted white, but here's how they mount right here. And so I'm like, okay, here's how they mount. And you just take and put them on a screw, and I'm going to turn it. And then I'm going to wait till she gives me final approval of where they're located. I put them at 16 and 32 inches. It's 4 foot across. So I'm trying to center those best as possible. And so they're really almost centered over those two white stiles a little bit. Maybe not perfectly, but close. Anyways, so that's it. I'm going to take them and then I'll glue them. I'll run a bead of glue behind them and I'll nail them from the top and I'll paint them up white. I know they're oak, but hey, once they're painted white, only your handyman will know, unless you have the eagle eye and you can see that grain from standing out here. And if you have that, then you need to get a life. All right, so here we go. Here we have it. I'm going to paint her up with some emerald urethane. Really good paint. I do like this. I don't usually buy designer paints, but this Emerald by Sherwin-Williams Urethane trim enamel is awesome. Very workable, dries nice. I don't like your Pro Classic L-Kid waterborns. I'm not crazy about those, but this here's nice paint. All right, that'll get primer and a couple coats of that. Caulk all the seams. Painter's putty. Painter putty in the nail heads, don't use caulk. Caulk is for losers. You don't put caulk in the nail head. If your painter does that, you need to find a new painter. All right, the client is very happy. I'm coming back Monday to throw some emerald urethane on here. And I'm gonna stop by tomorrow and caulk these locations here. And he decided to leave the shelves loose so that they can pull these two shelves out and set a car seat in the cubby hole. I think that's a great idea. Removable shelves. But the top one's permanent, and of course the bench and the bottom stuff is permanent. It should not be seen, all right? It shouldn't be loud and standing out, kind of like Bubba. There's your caulk. I caulked around all this, but it shouldn't. Actually, I need to come back and touch this up. See that? That's a bad caulk job. Run my finger over it and tool it. Tool it with your finger in a wet rag. It should only be pushed in the void. It shouldn't be built up on the surface. All right. There you go. We got the corners caulked. Corners over here caulked. Painting the closet. We got her caulked, patched. We're ready to paint. I shop vacked it, but there's still a dust on there. And somebody told me that Bubba don't have no tack. Well, it ain't true. Look, I do have tack. I've got a tack cloth. And here we go. We take this tack cloth and we'll get the fine dust off of here before we paint. I've primered, sanded. Remember, it's always primer, caulk, paint. There we go, wiping off the dust. Bubba does have tact. All right, myth is not true. The myth that Bubba has no tact. Painting the box. I'm painting from the top down as normal. I was throwing my painting to some painters, but they won't show up or they won't do a good job. So, hey, you ain't got nothing on me, babe. Bubba will do his own painting from here on out. I just can't do ceilings. I got a bad neck, no more ceilings other than that little ceiling in that closet. But I can't do ceilings out here. All right, rolling the final paint on the walls. I'm rolling the lap. All right. I tell you what, these young painters, they just ran off a couple of 40-year-old painters in the last year. And all I got to say is, excuse me, I can say that too. Bring it up, we'll vote on it again. You ain't got nothing on Bubba, you younger painters. You got nothing on Bub. I was painting when Elvis was here, jamming at the Pontiac Silverdome. And I'll be painting for years to come. Be back roll in one direction. Something you won't see too many young painters doing, back roll in one direction. They go crisscross applesauce all over toss. That's not how you paint. Starting to look like something now. Pretty much, after I set the shelves back in, we'll have her popped out. All right, there you go. There's your mudroom. Hooks are in. I came back, let the paint dry for a couple days. This is a urethane paint. It's a good idea to let it dry for several days before you go handling it or setting stuff on it, because it'll stick to it. It needs time to dry, so it's not all tacky like glue. But there you go. Look at that. Lots of hooks for the kids. And let me show you this surprise. They asked me if this space out here, instead of being dead space, if I could make a little lid so you get in there, the secret stash. All right, whatever. There you go. Remember you.
I had the same lady, Betty.
Thank you very much for joining us.